All right, everybody, thanks for joining in. This episode, we're kind of taking a step away from talking about a single particular movie, and we're going back to kind of what we've touched on a few times in the past, where we've kind of done our I think we've done top 10 before, but this time we're kind of doing it a little bit different. We're not doing a top 5 or a top 10. We were going to do a top 3, but you'll see as the episode progresses why we kind of went this route. So we are doing our top 4 personal favorite horror movies, and then we're going to kind of, and not go the review route of the movies, because I think probably, at least I know for mine, I think we've covered all of them in previous episodes. And I'm not sure about yours, because we haven't talked about this yet at all. But so here we are talking about our top 4 favorite horror movies.
So this is like this is kind of our own individual list, and you and I haven't even talked about this yet. So I think we're both going to probably surprise each other to some degree. But then I guess there's probably going to be a few ones in there that we're going to be like, yeah, I knew that was part of it.
Could you imagine that if, like, after all this time, we were like, what?
Yeah, I to be honest with you, I'm very curious of yours, because I don't think you and I have ever really like sat down and talked like, hey, what are your favorite, top 4 or 5 horror movies? We've never really done that. I mean, we've always kind of mentioned our first favorite and all that kind of thing, but never a full on like, yeah, this is, here's our list. So this is going to be pretty interesting.
Well, I will say this. So ever since we decided to do this, I have, even up to right now, like, I am struggling with the definitive top 4. I think like the top 2 are for me are pretty easy, and probably won't be a shock to people, especially you. But like the 3rd and the 4th ones, man, I mean, there's really like a handful of movies that I keep going like, oh, is it that one or is it this one? Okay, so maybe it's these 2, but which order is it? And then like maybe I'll come to a decision, and then a little bit later I'm like, you know what? Nope, it's not even those 2. It's these 2. And then which order are those? And then nope, it's not those. Actually, it's this one and this one. I'm still not sure which order they are. It's really difficult.
Yeah, it's when I came up with this list, I really sat down and thought about it, and I was like, okay, when I'm talking about top 4 horror movies, like what are my top 4? It's not something I didn't want to say to myself, oh yeah, it's going to be like some film I liked, and I saw it, I'm like, oh, that was a pretty good movie or whatever. These are the movies that I'm going to always go back to. I can watch multiple times. There's something about them that keeps them at a level so high that, yeah, like, I guess like going back to multiple viewings. These are films that I can pretty much enjoy watching all the time, and I never get tired of them. I love them. They're some of the best horror, in my opinion. That it just doesn't get any better than this. So I can't wait to kind of walk through this with you.
So do you want to start, or do you want me to start, or how do you want to do this? So this is kind of your baby.
Why don't you start?
Okay.
Why don't you start?
All right, so I'll start. So I'm going to go with my number 4 favorite horror movie of all time. And I'm going to, and again, we haven't talked about this at all, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick the format how I'm going to tell this, which is kind of like how I introduce the episodes. And so this particular movie, it's super cheesy and super campy. It's not really scary at all, but it has one of my favorite people of all time in it, who stars in it. But the other thing with this movie is, this is one of those movies that, while it doesn't have the initial exact feeling that you get when you watch it the first time, but it's such an obscure movie that even to this day, when I recommend it to people, that it is so great that I get people that come back to me and say, like, hey, so I watched that movie that you were recommended, and holy crap! And I am talking about none other.
Before you say it, can I make a guess what it is?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm going to guess your number 4 will be Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2.
Oh, not even close. But I will give you. Right. I will give you one hint and see if you can see if you can guess it.
All right.
The star of this movie is the mangled dick expert on The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs.
Oh, I know exactly what it is. Okay. Yep, I know.
Yep, and I am talking about none other than Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. I'm glad that's in your list because that is one of those movies that has always been near and dear to you, hasn't it?
Oh, man, since I was early teens at least. And it is, I just recently had a buddy of mine that we were going back and forth about stuff to watch and stuff to listen to and all this stuff. And I told him, I was like, you got to watch. Have you ever heard of Sleepaway Camp? And he's like, no, I don't think I have. I'm like, all right, you got to watch it. So it's total like mid-early 80s cheese fest. I said, but you got to watch. You got to stick with it. And then he was like, man, I was like, what the hell is this? And then I got to the end of the movie and I was like, what?
The funny thing about Sleepaway Camp is it was a franchise back in the 80s and I think into the 90s too. And it was one of those, again, going back to the mom and pop video stores, it was where you would always go into the video store and see the box art for that. And that first one, like the Sleepaway Camp, the original it's like the cover with the shoe, like the sneaker and the knife in it. It's like I remember that is such an iconic cover. And I remember not always putting it together that was Sleepaway Camp because Sleepaway Camp for me was one of those films that took me a while to actually see it. So I don't really have the nostalgia towards it probably as you do, other than the memories of people talking about it in school and it, seeing the cover art and stuff. I don't think I saw it till way later in life.
Yeah, I showed my kids that movie a few years ago. I think we talked about that during the Sleepaway Camp episode. And yeah, they loved it. They still love it. We got to meet Felissa Rose at Flashback last year.
We might be meeting her again.
Yeah. If she's there again this year, I'm definitely gonna stop by and talk to her again. I'm gonna harass her some more to let's set a date for the damn interview. Come on. So, but that's my number 4.
Good choice, man. Good choice. So I guess it's my turn, huh?
Yep, that's how there's 2 of us, and that's how it works. I go, and then you go.
All right. So let's see here. My number 4. This might surprise you a little bit because I know this might not seem to fall in the category, but I don't know. I think if you think about it enough, it to me it definitely falls into horror, but it does kind of cross into other things as well. It's not like your typical straight up horror movie, I guess. But when I was coming up with my 4 top, I had to say to myself, well, what films I think are brilliantly put together, very terrifying, very scary, have a huge impact on me from as far as I can remember. And it's been a film that I've come back to over and over and over again, and I never get bored of. And my film, you want to take a guess for my number 4 before I say it?
I'm going to go with Monster Squad.
Nope, you're wrong. My number 4 is none other than the Steven Spielberg classic, Jaws.
Oh, see, that was one of the ones that I was struggling with.
Yeah, I was kind of back and forth on this one because, I was like, well, is this really a horror movie? And when it comes down to it, I really think it is. And I mean, when I was a kid, when I first saw this film, you would go to I'm going to use the mom and pop video store again. Where did you find the Jaws series? It was under the horror series. It was under the horror section of the video store. So I think pretty much, back then it was considered horror. I still do think it is to this day. The film, I remember the first time I saw the cover art, which is, the shark coming up to eat the girl swimming at the top, that iconic image. I was like 5 years old, and I was at a bookstore in Wisconsin Dells, like I was at an ice cream shop that sold used books, and they had the Jaws book, and I was like, "What is this?" And I grabbed it, and I couldn't read, any of it, but like my parents bought it for me, and I just like was enamored by that cover. I'm like, I got to see this movie. And then when I finally saw it, it blew my mind. I've been fascinated ever since. Nothing's more terrifying than being in the ocean and thinking, oh man, there's this great white shark. And to be honest with you, like when you watch the movie and you see, Bruce, as they call him, the mechanical shark they used in the film, that shark to me is Jaws, or is a shark, is a great white. It's scarier than even a real one. It's just, and you see it kind of slowly moving with its mouth open most of the time, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't look like what a real shark would look like, but that's even scarier than what a real shark would look like. So, and actually, you got me a Bruce action figure.
I did,
and I still have it, and it's in my collection. Eventually, it's going to be on display with all my stuff. I've always wanted a Bruce action figure.
So,
shark.
Is the one that I got you, does that one have blood on it or not? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay, because I know there was two of them.
Yeah, I think there was two of them. There was one with and one without, and I'm pretty sure it does. I have to go check that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, with Jaws, it's kind of. I did see Jaws when I was probably fairly young, because I do remember. I remember that movie being on TV when I was a kid, and like being terrified to go swimming for a long time because of that movie.
Oh, yeah.
At least that's what I was told anyway when I was a kid. But Jaws was one of those movies that I didn't really care for until probably the last 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, and now it's one of those, and now it's become one of those like we've always talked about on here before, where we have these, you have seasonal movies.
Right.
And so Return of the Living Dead, that's July 3rd. And Jaws is always on July 4th.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it's a great movie. It's one that you just can't. I'll never get enough of Jaws. I'll always be able to watch it, and it looks great too in Blu-ray, by the way. So I haven't upgraded obviously to what is it, the 4K or whatever. I don't have a 4K TV, but man, it's a great movie. You can't be beat.
Yeah, it looks good on VHS as well.
Yeah, absolutely. VHS too, sure.
But yeah, that scene with Richard Dreyfuss and what's his face when they're drunk, sharing,
Quint.
swapping Scar stories and singing that song and stuff.
Great scene.
One of the best scenes in cinematic history, right there.
I couldn't agree with you more.
So, all right. So my number 3 pick is. And again, I'll just tell a little story about it. This particular movie is, again, this kind of goes back to the whole nostalgia thing. This is one of those very early horror memories that I have. This is a movie that I first saw when I was on Family Reunion. And I think I probably told the story actually during the episode of this movie. But I remember watching this movie at Family Reunion one year, and there's a scene where the one character gets his fingers cut off, and there's this orangish yellow kind of mustard goo that comes out of his hand. and then it's always been one of those movies, even to this day, it's always one of those movies, if it ever is on, or if I just happen to I'm going to watch that, I'll throw it in and I could sit there and watch it. It's a movie that I think requires a certain sort of you kind of have to be a fan of it to like it, if that makes sense. But do you know where I'm going with this one?
I do. I absolutely know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm talking about none other than the late Angus Scrimm as the tall man in the one and only Phantasm.
That is so funny that you bring that one up too, because just like Sleepaway Camp, the Phantasm films, the franchise in general, I was a late bloomer with that one too, just like the Sleepaway Camp franchise. I didn't see the original Phantasm until, gosh, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, which is weird. And yeah, I too love the original, but I guess I never grew up with it. I remember this. Do you remember how like big the second one was? Like when that came out, like it was always there were so many ads for it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like seemed like they were trying to turn Phantasm into the next Nightmare on Elm Street at the time, like turn it into a franchise back in like the late '80s when that one came out.
Yeah, and it's so weird with those as well, because you'll get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, those Phantasm movies suck," or you'll have people that like be like, "Oh, Phantasm 4 is horrible." And while the sequels necessarily aren't that great, Phantasm, the one thing is, everybody that was in part 1 is in all of them for the most part. The main cast,
right?
And the sequels really are made for like the true fans of Phantasm. Like Phantasm Part 5, Ravager, or whatever it's called. I can't remember the exact. I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like Angus Scrimm was like 90 years old when they made that, and there's a lot of scenes with him in it that are like CGI'd. The ones where he's like walking around and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, that's so fake" and stuff. Like, yeah, well, it was just made to wrap up the story. I mean, that's all it was. It wasn't meant to be like this great movie. It was just a movie made for fans, really. People that wanted to get some conclusion to the story.
Oh, sure.
So, but I mean, yeah, the original Phantasm, man, that is such a good movie. It's creepy. And it's just a good movie. I mean, it's not your typical, it's not a slasher movie at all. But it has like aliens and teleportation in it. It has muscle cars. It has dwarves. I mean, it has everything you could ever want in a horror movie.
Yeah, it actually is I haven't seen all of them. I haven't seen the new one, Part 5. And I saw Part 2, and I think I saw Part 4. There's one of them I didn't see other than the Part 5. And out of all of them, the first one, hands down, is the best. It is one of those like movies that like you can watch over and over and over and over and over again. And it's kind of funny because I think it sort of reminds me in a way of Stranger Things. It's got that kind of it's like got that vibe, and like they're bringing back that '80s kind of thing. And I know that Phantasm I think was '79, the original, but it's definitely holds up. I agree with you. That's a good pick.
So what's your number 3?
Number 3. Oh my gosh, this one, my number 3 is probably like going back to, it was probably the biggest taboo horror film of my childhood. It was like the one film like, oh my gosh, did you actually see that? And once I saw it, it was like, it was one of those films where like before I saw it, there was all this huge build up to it. Like there's all these rumors and, all these things that people would tell you about it. Like, oh, once you see this is, oh my gosh, it's crazy, blah, 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 whatever. And I will honestly tell you, when I finally did see it, how usually like when there's all this buildup, you go and see this movie and then you watch it and you're like, oh, that wasn't anything like what you told me it would be like. And the absolute opposite thing happened with this one. When I finally saw this film after all the buildup and all the friends and whatever telling me about it, when I finally saw it, it was like, oh my gosh, that shit was disturbing. That was crazy. And I almost felt like dirty after I watched it. And then like it actually was one of those films, like it took a long time for me to own it because it seemed so taboo. But it's none other than Tobe Hooper's classic, the 1974, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Very nice.
I love that movie. And one of my best memories with that film, other than the first time I saw it, which was at a sleepover in 6th grade. But I used to do Halloween parties at my house, and this was years ago. And I remember we would do like a costume thing and then do a haunted house in the basement, and then I'd play horror movies for whoever wanted to watch them. And I put this film in, and there was this girl that came, and she had never seen it, and she sat and watched the entire thing next to me. And I remember the look on her face of sheer horror, like, what the hell are we watching? And I was like, yes, this movie is so effective. And she just was so disturbed by the entire thing that I was like, yep, this is a movie that, you know, all these years later still has an effect on people. And like, you know, and I know like you watch it now, and there's like a lot of, you could probably, you know, people can tear it up and say, well, it didn't have this, it didn't have that, or, you know. And I know I've heard some people say, like, when they saw, like, I think they released it in the theater, and some people were laughing at it. And I understand that, you know. But if you watch it as is and you try to put yourself in that time period of 1974, it is really horrifying. I mean, I really don't, I can't think of a movie that's more effective. Like, a movie with, like, such a slim, like, barely any plot. It's just like, all of a sudden, these kids, like, they're in a nightmare, and then the nightmare just won't end, and then finally they get out of it, or the final one gets out of it, and that's it. And it's like so fast and so crazy, and all the stuff that you see in it is so disturbing. And when you really think about what's going on, it's just, oh. And then like the history of it, and like how it's connected to what it was, how Tobe Hooper was inspired to write it, and all the backstory and all the, you know, it's just, it can't be beat. And again, it's one of those horror movies too that every time I put it in, I just like, oh, this is from beginning to end. It's almost a perfect horror movie.
You know, and I've told my Texas Chainsaw Massacre story on this particular show, I believe twice, because we've covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we've also covered the other movie that is involved in the story. Mm-hmm. But my first viewing of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually kind of takes a little bit of the taboo-ness out of it for me, because I'll never forget, I was probably like in 6th grade or maybe 7th grade. It was probably like 6th grade, maybe 5th grade even. But summer school was on HBO all the time, and me and my mom were watching that one day, and the two like stoner kids in that movie, they do this summer school project on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that movie got over, and I was like, hey, we should see that other movie. And me and my mom ran to the video store and rented it and came home and watched it.
That is awesome.
And my mom even remembered, because I even asked her about that a couple of times, like, hey, you remember that time, like, we were watching this one movie and Texas Chainsaw Massacre was on there, and then I was like, hey, let's go watch that. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember that. So that was, yeah, but that is a good pick, and that's, well, I'll save it for later, because I was going to say, because that's one of those, another one of those ones that I kept going back and forth on. But I'll save that for later too. Because I think, so let me ask you this before we go down to, we're on number 2 already, right?
Yeah, we are.
So, of your 2, 3, and 4 picks, did you have multiple ones that you were going back and forth on, or not?
No, I think 4, I did have another one. Like I guess, like, should I share what it was?
Sure.
Okay. My number, like, for my 4 with Jaws, I was pretty confident that would be Jaws, but I think like there was a I guess if we were to say that, you know, if we were doing a top 5, like Jaws and this other film were kind of back and forth a little bit, and that would be the original Ridley Scott 1979 Alien.
Oh, see, yeah, there's another great one there. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna put that one. Like, I think I do think that Jaws beats it though overall. So I'm pretty happy with where I am.
So, not to get too sidetracked off of this one, but Alien is. And this is kind of funny because you're the one who told me this, and then it's stuck in my head, and then I share this with other people from time to time, and then they go, "Holy shit, you're right." So Alien is essentially a ghost story.
it's a
like a haunted house story, right?
Yeah.
So,
yep, absolutely.
Now, would you kind of agree that Jaws kind of falls in that same category?
I don't know if I'd call it a haunted like for Jaws, it's more of a.
I mean, I know it's a creature feature, but
it's a creature feature monster movie. I kind of put it more in that place where it's like it's a little different. Like whereas Alien, it's more like the like what's behind the door, who's what is the monster behind there, and that it's like kind of this creepy atmosphere kind of thing.
Because it's weird with Jaws. I kind of almost put the two, Alien and Jaws, like kind of in the same category because technically they're both creature features. I mean, they're both fighting a monster.
Right.
But at the same time, it's kind of like, ooh, where is he at? Is he coming now?
Yeah,
is he coming now?
But that makes sense.
But yeah, ever since I remember the first time you told me that about Alien, like, oh, it's like a haunted house story. I'm like, oh, crap, it is. Holy. All right, so now my number 2, again, we didn't talk about this at all beforehand, and I think I'm cheating on number 2. And the reason why I'm cheating on number 2, while technically I have a personal favorite within this particular franchise, there are at least 3 other movies within the same franchise that are as equally good, in my own personal opinion, but of the... I don't even know how to phrase this without completely giving it away. But of the old school films in this franchise, the first 7, I enjoy almost all of them equally as much as any of the other ones, and I would never argue if anybody said, hey, do you want to watch 2, or do you want to watch 3, or do you want to watch 4, or do you want to watch 5? Yeah, put it in and let's watch it. And the great thing about all of them is you can watch any of them without any exposure to the rest of the franchise. And so, yes, for my number 2 pick, I'm going for an entire franchise. And even out of the entire franchise, there really is only one movie that I would say never watch. And the other reason why I couldn't pick a particular film on this, but I think if you're dedicated enough, and I haven't got it yet, but I'm getting a tattoo later this year.
Ooh.
That's dedicated to this entire franchise, and I'm assuming you know where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
But I am going with, as my number 2 pick, I am going with Jason Voorhees and the Friday the 13th entire franchise, except for Jason Goes to Hell.
I like that. Yeah, so you're basically saying that, for your number 2 pick, basically just put any Friday the 13th movie minus Jason Goes to Hell and you're good.
Yep. I would even say up until probably a few years ago. I mean, granted, now Jason Takes Manhattan's a little kind of iffy. But yeah, I mean, really, I could watch that. I actually do like that movie now. I used to not like that movie, but I do like that one. But yeah, any of them. And Jason, or Freddy versus Jason's a great one. The remake of Friday the 13th, I like that one as well. So yeah any of them.
Enjoyable.
I know there's a lot of people that don't like that one, but I throw it in, man. Let's watch it.
Well, I like where you're going with this because I too like, with that particular franchise, it's one of those franchises where it's so hard to pick like one movie, like which one's the best. So, like, well, I kind of like a little bit of part 3, I kind of like a little bit of part 2, I like this aspect of part 4, part 5, this is kind of cool. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's kind of like watching like a Stranger Things episode or season 3 and saying, which episode was your favorite?
Right.
Well, I kind of like them all.
Yeah, I mean,
sort of like the same thing. It's like, it's almost like, because there's so many of them and there's a little piece of each one of them that you like. It's hard to nail it down to one movie.
Yeah, I mean, personally, my personal favorite out of them is part 6. But again, it's just because of the whole, that was like the first Friday the 13th movie I saw unedited. And, you know, that one's kind of campy and a little bit more on the comedic side than the ones before it. But, well, I probably even actually sent the ones after it as well, come to think of it. But, you know, like, oh, this is going to be a hairy turn. but when you sit down and think about it, I mean, really, is part 4 better than part 6? Well, there's parts of that. You know, part 3 better than part 4? Yeah, there's parts of that. You know, is there things I like about part 5 better than some of them? Well, there is a Deborah Voorhees scene that's pretty spectacular.
Exactly. You can't really pick one. I totally get it. Yeah. It's funny because I think about it, like, I love part 2. I think that's probably, you know, if you really think about it, I love the story. I love how they put it together. I love Amy Steele. But there's no hockey mask. And, like, I got to have a hockey mask on Jason. So then I'm like, oh, part 3, that's the best one. He gets the hockey mask. It's great. And then it's like, but wait, hold on. Then he doesn't have his nemesis. What's his name?
Tommy Jarvis.
And it's like, wait, so you got to like part 4 because of that. That's really cool. And then it's like, well, hold on. There's no Deborah Voorhees like there is in part 5. And so, oh, wait, yeah, part 5 is the best one. Wait, well, hold on a second. There's not, Jason the zombie coming up from the grave like in part 6. Yeah, exactly. It's like so hard because each one of them has something kind of cool about them, and each, so it's, you got to kind of take the whole the franchise as a whole. I totally agree with that.
And hopefully, we've had Deborah on the show, and we had Melanie Kinnaman on the show too. So
we did, yeah, absolutely.
But, so Deborah, if you're listening to this, we mean the love in the utmost respect for you.
Absolutely.
And your jokes.
Absolutely.
All right. So far, I have your top, the 2 that you've picked so far, your number 4 and your number 3.
Okay.
Have not been surprises to me at all. Actually, though, they are lower than I thought they were going to be.
Really?
I thought I was torn between what your number 2 was going to be, if it was going to be Chainsaw or Jaws, and if number 3 was going to be Chainsaw or Jaws.
Interesting.
So now I'm really curious as to what your number 2 is. I have some ideas, but
my number 2, this is one of those ones where I struggled with this a little bit because there's part of me that wants to make this number 2 my number 1. But because my number 1 is so special to me and it's really unbeatable, I can't do it because my number 1 is my number 1 for a reason, and we'll just leave it at that. So this number 2 is an incredibly good movie. It's probably being that it's my number 2, it's one of the best, absolutely best filmed horror movies ever put on the screen, ever. And it's really never fully been topped. I don't think there's ever going to be anything as great as it. It stands the test of time like probably no other film. It's hit pop culture like unbelievably. When I first saw it, I was a really little kid, and it just scared the crap out of me. The iconic scene, still to this day, after all these years, still is probably one of the most horrific scenes ever filmed in cinematic history, ever. And the fact that I'm not putting this number 1, is because my number 1 is so special to me. So there's a connection to my number 1 that it just won't budge. So I'm going to have to put this at number 2. Do you have any guess of what it is?
Not yet. I haven't got any good hints yet.
Okay. It is none other than the original Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Why was that slip in my mind? Holy crap. I knew that. Duh.
That movie, although it's old, it's black and white, and it's kind of the beginning of the slasher era. And to me, like, the Norman Bates character is so well put together in this film. The story, everything about it, the atmosphere, there's so much in this film that, I mean, it just carries itself so well that, like, I just, although it's not, it's not like a film from my era, like, you and I kind of grew up with the 80s and like all the slashers and all that stuff. And this is an oldie, even it's not one that really kind of fits in the in the box of like the movies that we grew up with, but it's so good. It's like one of those films, like, I don't watch it all the time. I don't, like, grab it off of the shelf and, hey, I'm going to watch Psycho like every year or whatever, like I do other films. But it's every time I watch it, it's like, wow, that was a really good horror movie.
Oh man, and that is the exact reason why it was slipping my mind, because I knew that you loved that movie. But it's one of those movies that, for some odd reason, it just slips your mind, and then it's one of those that when it comes up, you're like, oh yeah, that is such a great movie. And everything about it is great. If you ever get a chance to watch any of like the documentaries about the making of Psycho, or there was even, I think, what was that movie a couple of years ago where Anthony Hopkins played Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah.
They even made a movie about Alfred Hitchcock during the time that they were making Psycho. I mean, it's not even about the movie; it's just about him while they're making it. I mean, the whole story is amazing.
Yeah, it is a really good one.
It's such a good movie.
And it goes back to, it's kind of funny because two of the films I put on here already are connected back to the Ed Gein character, because Ed Gein was the influence for Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and also for Norman Bates of Psycho. But yeah, it's a great movie. It really can't be beat. I mean, you look at that film, the storyline, the twist ending. I mean, and then you got to think back to when did that come out? 1960 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, can you imagine like people seeing that film? There was nothing like that back then, and even today, it's like, you watch that film and that shower scene is kind of hard to watch.
Oh, the shower scene is it's like it's iconic. You think you get to see Janet Leigh naked, which you don't. You think you get to see Janet Leigh all cut up. You don't. Right. I mean, it's just the way that Alfred Hitchcock filmed that was just brilliant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, all right, that's it. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. No, just kidding.
So, so like we said before, when we first started talking about this, we were going to just do like a top 3, and then we're like, well, let's not do a top 3 because our number 1 is going to be the same, I assume, and then we were kind of like, well, duh, yeah, it is. And so far, I think so. This is the only movie so far because we did a Psycho episode.
I think we did, yeah.
Pretty sure we did. But yeah, our number 1 is so far, technically we kind of covered it, but we haven't done an episode dedicated to it yet. So now that we got Zombies out of the way, and we got Hello Mary Lou out of the way, this is going to be the next big episode. I think people are going to be sitting on their hands waiting impatiently, probably for the next 15, 16 years, I would assume.
Yeah.
But, I'll go ahead and let you introduce our number 1, and yes, it is both of our number 1 picks.
That's so cool that we both find this one to be the number 1 pick of the ultimate horror movie. Are both of our number 1s, and it shouldn't be to any surprise to anybody who listens to this show. We talk about it all the time. Every film we talk about somehow connects back to it, and for me, it is the epitome of a horror film. There's nothing better. And yes, Psycho is. I mean, Psycho. Psycho is my number 2. I think it's an amazing film. Beautifully filmed. I mean, it's a classic by all means. But to me, my film and your film is none other than John Carpenter's Halloween. To me, there's no better horror film. That movie is perfect. Like if you wanted to look at like a film that's filmed perfectly from beginning to end, nothing I would change about it. That's why, all the sequels, remakes, and reboots and everything, they try the best they can to try to kind of capture the magic, and it just can't be recaptured because that original film was just perfect. And to be honest with you, if you look at the whole franchise, the original film should have ended right at the end of that film. It would have been fine, and that's it. So Halloween, yeah.
Oh man, so this is what, especially now, because I mean we're going into another sequel reboot.
Yep, we are
with this one. So I picked the franchise for Friday the 13th as my number 2 pick. And while I do enjoy a handful of the Halloween sequels, I mean, actually, I like Halloween through Halloween 6. Well, the producer's cut of Halloween 6. But I do like, unlike a lot of people, I do like Part 4 and Part 5. I kind of like that whole Thorn trilogy thing that they did with those. But man, and for a lot of people, really, I mean, after Part 2, through even the present day, I can't believe that a franchise has been going as long as it has been going, as Halloween has. And I mean, Halloween has to have the most shitty sequels of any franchise out there. I mean,
yeah,
there are so many unwatchable Halloweens. I mean, I hate H2O. I hate Resurrection. The movie that came out last year, I watched it twice in the theater. I bought the Blu-ray. I still have never watched the Blu-ray. I just kind of, every time I'm like, ugh, God, no. Just die already. It's so weird. But the original Halloween is such a great movie. And I've already watched it, like, just this year alone. I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. And I own, that's the number 1 movie that I own on. I have a couple of different movies on every format. But I have right now, 4 or 5 different VHS copies of that movie.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's just insane. I have the TV edit. I have, which is a media version. I have not the original media version, but I have another media version of it, and then I have the Blockbuster version of it, and I have the the Platinum Dunes version of it, and then I think I have another one of it as well.
Yeah, I have the media VHS, not the original, not the orange box, but what came out later. I have the Blockbuster VHS version. I have the DVD version that came out, not the Anchor Bay, but what came out later. I have the Blu-ray, and I have the 4K? No.
Oh.
What's it called? Is it the 4K?
Probably.
Is that the next thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I have the 4K as well, but because they put a different version of the Blu-ray in there with it, because I don't have a 4K player yet. But so yeah, same with me. It's like one of those films. Like if they repackage that, it's like, oh, Halloween's back out. I got to go run out and get it. And it's like, yeah, and the sequels to me, to be honest with you, I've seen them all at one point or another. I loved them all, except for Resurrection. As time has gone on, because I remember I was hugely into 4 and 5 back in the day, and and then I was into 6 when that came out. I saw that probably seen 6 the most in the theaters and more than any other ones. And I did see the remakes, both zombie films in the theater and the new one, and I was really hoping a lot for the new one. But now looking back, after all the years have passed and all of this stuff, I really think that the original is kind of the only movie worth watching of the whole franchise. The only one I'll watch is I'll just toss this one in because it's a little bit extra of what I liked about the original is the the original Halloween 2, 1981. And that's mainly because I'm such a fanatic about the mask, and they're using the same mask, and it's just cool to see that on screen again. But yeah, I mean, Halloween's my ultimate favorite horror movie. It was probably the first horror movie I ever saw. I remember watching it I was like 5 years old. It was Halloween night, and had just gotten done trick or treating, and we're like all around the house, or like all in the living room, like, you know, sitting in front of the TV. And I remember eating candy and like watching Halloween, and like something clicked in my brain at that point, and it's never stopped. And I've been a huge fan ever since. And to be honest with you, I think I have to probably say that Halloween is my favorite film of all time too, because it's the one movie I watch more than any other. And it's you know, it's the thing is, like, I try not to watch it. It's on Shudder right now, and I watched like a couple clips of it just because it was, you know, I had my computer open. I was like, oh, Halloween, I gotta just watch this part. And it was, and even just watching that little part was like, it was like, oh, this is so good. But then like now to me, it's like I can't watch it until Halloween. And every year it's my go-to movie. I toss it in, and it's like, you know, and there's no other movie like that. Like, I don't, you know, there's no, you know, I mean, Jaws, yeah, that is a July 4th movie, but I didn't watch it this July 4th. But I guarantee you, this Halloween, John Carpenter's film will be in my Blu-ray player or wherever, and I'll be watching it.
So I will, since how you shared that Halloween is probably your favorite movie, I always love sharing my favorite movie which is not a horror movie at all, with folks. That, I mean, Halloween's probably number 2, because on this show we always go back to nostalgia and all the early days. And my favorite movie, which I'm actually surprised that I don't own more copies of this than I do, although this is another one that I do own. I do have multiple versions of it on VHS, and I do have it on DVD and Blu-ray as well. But my favorite movie of all time is another movie that goes back to childhood, and it was one of these movies that was always on TV every year, and it was like a big event, like, ooh, it's going to be on, let's watch it as a family. And I think it might have been the first movie ever to actually use Technicolor. I could be wrong, and I'm going to see if you can guess it here. But it starts off black and white, and then...
It's a Wonderful Life.
No, because it's... although It's a Wonderful... That's a good guess, because It's a Wonderful Life does start off in black and white, but It's a Wonderful Life finishes in black and white. But it starts off in black and white, and then after the first act, switches to color.
Oh, The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz, yes.
There you go.
Is my favorite movie of all time, and it's always funny because people that know me are like, oh, you're a huge wizard, or you're a huge horror fan. Oh, you like that weird movie with Somewhere Over the Rainbow? I'm like, yep. That's it, man. That's my favorite movie.
It's got horror elements to it.
It does. It's kind of a freaky movie, yeah.
Talking trees and flying monkeys. I mean, come on now.
And, you know, like a teenage girl kills a witch.
Yeah.
Melts her to a puddle of goo.
Pretty creepy, especially when you're a little kid watching that film. I remember when that came out, like on the... Actually had the board game for the Wizard of Oz.
It couldn't be one of those. I remember going to see that when it first came out in theaters when I was a little kid. My mom took me. I was like, wait, what? No.
Nope, don't remember that. I do remember it being on TV every year. It's, you know, some, whatever time it was. It was like, oh yeah, Wizard of Oz is on.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You never thought about it until like a week before, and like everybody was telling, hey, you got to watch the Wizard of Oz. It comes on this day, and this is before anybody had, you know, a VCR.
And it was all. I mean, that was like all of that stuff back then. You know, Wizard of Oz, like Rudolph and. Frosty, Charlie Brown, all
and
of
Halloween,
that stuff.
Actually, even the original Halloween, that was another one that, like, it was around Halloween time that you had to wait to see that film.
Yeah, all these movies were not on at the same time, just so all of you, like, younger folks are out there like, damn, so that you guys just sat around and waited, like, the Monday night and watched TV for 6 hours? No.
Right. Yeah, one day you could catch every movie you liked, and that was it.
So, all right, man. So, well, this is a marathon episode. Not as bad as the original Halloween franchise episode, but
So we want you all to go check these films out if you haven't. If you haven't, you probably aren't listening to a Horror Heads episode, because these are pretty much all films that you should have all seen already if you're a horror movie fan. I don't think we had any obscure ones in our either.
Well, I mean, Sleepaway Camp, but
Sleepaway Camp, that's pretty big.
Yeah,
there's a pretty big following for that. So.
Yeah, if you're a horror fan, you've heard of Sleepaway Camp. That's one of those, if you're like kind of like a casual horror fan, and you're like, oh no, I never heard of that. I'm like, oh, you should go watch it.
Right.
Never mind.
Surprisingly, neither one of us had Mary Lou Prom Night 2. So
I was not surprised by that at all.
So who knows? Maybe that would be in our top 10s if we would.
So now I have to ask you, because I kind of actually, though, Psycho threw me off just because that's one of those movies that I wasn't thinking of.
Yeah.
Did my list surprise you at all?
I don't think so. I think, because I knew you were at Sleepaway Camp. I knew that you were a huge fan of that. I knew about, obviously, Friday the 13th films. I would have probably put those in mind too, but because again, there's not one film that sticks out as like, oh, that's the one. Like I didn't do it in the top 4. Phantasm maybe a little bit. I don't know if it surprised me, but I guess it I wasn't fully expecting that. I don't think I would have guessed it if you would ask me.
Yeah, I had yours picked as Halloween #1 for sure.
Oh yeah,
and then 2 and 3 I had picked as Texas Chainsaw and Jaws, and then I wasn't sure which order they were going to go. But yeah, Psycho, that totally slipped my mind. But if I would have been thinking of Psycho, I would have had your top 4 picked for sure.
Yeah, to me, it's just one of those films that, if you look at Psycho, there's so much that John Carpenter pulled out of that for Halloween. Like some of the shots of moving towards the house, even just the house shots, using the butcher knife. And I don't know, there's just a lot to it. I see a lot of similarities in the two. To me, Halloween is just my movie, so I don't know if it's necessarily the better movie. I just think it's there's so much of a connection to me with it that I just had to go with that one for sure with #1.